I'm Leonard Nimoy. Join me for In Search of
An Argument.
Hi, welcome back to In Search of an Argument. We are doing almost 2 back-to-back episodes. It's unheard of. What is going on? Tonight's episode, we are going to talk about the New York Times article that came out, I don't know when, maybe about a month ago, 3 weeks or so, listing the top, is it 30 or is it 50? 30. Top 30 living American songwriters as chosen by the New York Times. And we discussed what topic we should talk about tonight. And I thought maybe this one would be a good topic because there's a lot of opinionated people on this podcast and a lot of people who feel like they're experts in music, or at least they're savvy in music. Just side note, I'm neither opinionated nor savvy in music. So I just
But you are a music concert promoter.
True. I have hosted a concert in my backyard. So I thought it might.
I don't think any of the rest of us can claim.
I not yet anyway. I could see Shelley doing it pretty soon in her awesome backyard.
No.
And Peggy, how upset and opinionated would you have been if Paul Simon had been left off the list?
Well, Jim, you're stealing my thunder. I was going to say, I think we can have a lively conversation because people have lots of opinions about music, but I was pretty happy with the article as soon as I saw Paul Simon and Dolly Parton, and I thought, okay, I'm good with this article. It is an interesting, I have to admit that I did not read every single nuance because there's a hyperlink, of course, and you can read what people said about that person and how they chose, all that sort of stuff. There's a bunch of people on there that I've never even heard of, which doesn't say much because I really don't know anything about popular music. I tend to listen to old stuff. So some of those names I don't know. But I'd be interested to hear if anybody had any gut reactions like I had about seeing Paul and Dolly listed.
I was thrilled. I was scrolling through and very similar, oh, I didn't know he wrote that. So I learned some stuff, but I was like, okay, Dolly made it. And then I'm like scrolling. Okay, Paul made it. So it's like, okay, that makes sense to me. Of course, Bob Dylan made it, which if he wasn't on, that would have been just why do the list. But yeah, I was happy Dolly, Paul, and Bob Dylan. I was like, okay, here are people I know.
It is true. I learned a lot too because you think about songwriters and they're not necessarily, and this may be his dumb thing, and Jim might give me an eye roll, but people who are artists, like let's say Pharrell, is he on that list? I can't remember.
He is not.
Okay, so I hate that song about being happy. I hate that.
Because it's
Pharrell
the worst
Williams,
song
is
ever.
that his name?
Because it's redundant?
What?
Why do you hate it? Because it's redundant and repetitive?
Yes. And so, but then I read about him and that he writes a ton of music for other people. So just because, artists who are all, they sing their own stuff, they also write for other people that we don't even know about. Like Natalie Hemby, she wrote that song for Lady Gaga to sing in that Star is Born stuff. It's interesting that you'd think that if you're an artist, you would only write stuff for yourself, but no, obviously. Well, and that's Dolly, right? She's written over 3,000 songs and for other people. So, Jim, what do you think?
About Dolly? What's the question?
Oh, and how you like the list?
I thought the list was very interesting. There are a couple of people that I am unfamiliar with their work on the list, I've heard of Young Thug, but I can't honestly say I could name any of his songs. And there was another guy whose name escapes me now, who I take it does Norteño or Latina music, and am unfamiliar with his work. But the fact that I'm unfamiliar with someone's work doesn't, they shouldn't be on the list. because I think that one of the things from my perspective is, we all have our favorite kinds of music, but I think that one can even say, even if such and such is not my favorite kind of music, one can appreciate that there's a great deal of craftsmanship and skill in creating that kind of music and writing it and playing it and so forth, and can appreciate that, that should be recognized. And this isn't a list of like the greatest pop songwriters. It's supposed to encompass a lot of different genres, and I think they were very conscious about doing that. In my personal opinion, if I were one of the people picking this list, I might try to find a space for Billy Joel or Randy Newman on the list, because I think they're both excellent songwriters, and I think they're both still alive. And the other thing that occurred to me was the three still living members of REM who wrote a number of very, terrific songs. Maybe I would think about them. I think also there was an attempt to balance out the different genres and to have, that we're not just picking one genre, and that's fine. I think for a list like this, I think that's a worthy goal. If you're asking me three people or two people and another group of songwriters, because of course some of the 30 are teams of songwriters, so it's not literally 30 people, and I think that's perfectly fine too, obviously.
So can I ask you a follow-up question?
Sure.
Did you see this when it came out on April 27th?
I'm sure I did, yes.
Okay, and did you see any of the aftermath as a result?
I don't know what that means.
You mean the
aftermath.
comments?
So you mentioned Billy Joel, and then a New York Times thing came out, or like some stuff I saw on the internet. I don't know what the source was, but it was outrage that Billy Joel was not on the list.
I mean, he has a lot of fans. I think he's a terrific songwriter. But I mean, if you're putting Billy Joel on, who do you take off? That's always the question, right? If you're keeping it to 30 entries, you have to take somebody off if you put somebody on. I mean, like I said, there's a couple of people I'm not familiar with their work, but because I'm not, if I were actually one of the people responsible for the list and there were people proposed that I wouldn't familiar with the work, one of the things I do is I sit down and say, maybe I should listen to some of the songs these people have written. And, then I would have a better perspective. I mentioned those three candidates because I think they're all excellent songwriters, but I'm not saying that I would, that I have specific candidates that I would boot off the list. And if you're serious about it, you have to be, I think it's a comparative thing, right? You have to like move somebody else out if you're going to put somebody on.
Shelley, do you have something to say?
I do.
Wait, can I say, are you really upset that the Black Eyed Peas weren't on there?
There were so many things I was upset about. So many things.
The Black Eyed Peas, really?
That was a good start. So I had to take the perspective that, first of all, I had to step back and say living.
Yes, right? I know. I instantly went to Prince, and I was like, "Oh yeah, wait, living."
Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
Can I interject here real quick? That Tony Kornheiser, who actually does a podcast where they actually, has commercials and he makes money doing it. After the list came out, went on a little mini screed about how you could have a list like that and not include Brian Wilson. Well, it's because Brian Wilson died a year ago. And I guess Tony forgot that or something. So
it would have been good if they had said, so like Brian Wilson, okay, the Beach Boys, you have to, if only one or two members of the group where their songs were super big, then you shouldn't count that. Like, are we just doing like a single songwriter? I know that they never work in isolation, but when you think of the Beatles and the Stones, some of those members are still alive.
Mm-hmm. American.
But none of them are Americans.
Okay. So Brandi Carlile, Aretha Franklin, Um,
I'm not sure that Aretha Franklin is credited as a writer on most of her songs. Most of the songs
Songwriter?
I
Okay.
think she's probably written some songs, but she's not. Most of the stuff she sings, she is not a credited writer on. I mean, I would have to actually go through, but I think that
Okay.
is the case.
Billy Joel, I thought was a notable omission, and I didn't see the aftermath part of it. So I was going to say Elton John, but when you say American, then that excludes him. I'm glad that Lucinda Williams was on there and Stevie Wonder, for sure. There were many that I didn't know, and there are many that I vehemently disagree with because I think they were giving an extra nod to, and this is gonna, I might get a lot of hate mail from our tens of things, the diversity angle, to include them. And I'm not saying they should be excluded, but I'm saying that I felt like that was like, really? That's who you put in?
Who specifically?
I don't think Jay-Z is that great. I don't think Missy Elliott, personally. But that's what's the beauty about music. It's all an individual taste and flavor. There are many other. I think Bad Bunny is not good. I know he's all the rage because of the Super Bowl and before that. But I don't. And it's not anything related to diversity or anything like that. It's just that music, and I love all types of music.
I do think I want to hear what John has to say too before we go on, but I do have a follow-up question about that, and that is, this is all very it's your taste. So it's these people's taste.
sure.
Like, who can say what a good song is? What makes that you're a good writer? Because it's popular, because you have lots of hits, because it's catchy.
It's a top 10 chart.
Yeah, what makes it a quality? So it's hard to know. Like, I would never know if what Jay-Z writes is actually good writing. And I don't recall it. When you say songwriter, are we talking lyrics? Are we also talking music? Or is it both? That I didn't catch that in the article. But go ahead, John. Do you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I mean, I agree with all that. How do you know what's good? It feels totally subjective. It feels like just what I grew up with, or what I liked, or I mean, I guess I feel like I think about the studies they say about anything that a child listens to between 12 and like 18 will be permanently embedded in their brain as great, because that's just like how the brain works and how like neuroplasticity exists. So there's a part of me that's like, well, because I was a product of a time when like a few record label executives who took advantage of the people who are like they chose these people and they forced it down my throat on radio, and I listen to it, therefore I like it. That makes them good. Like I don't. It feels like there's so many other forces to come into it. I know what I like. There's no question I know what I like. And if that's all it is, then fine. It's just a subjective game of us talking about what we like.
It's clear that the Times made an effort to get beyond that, because it's clear from the list that it's not just one group.
Yeah, but right. But that's
okay.
So
they made a clear effort to get beyond that. Secondly, you're right, absolutely, which goes to the point where everybody has their favorites, but I think as professional critics, presumably, they try to go just beyond their favorites and look at have a broader perspective. I'm not saying they always succeed, but they try. Shelley, I tend to agree with you about a little bit about Missy Elliott. I don't think she's bad, but I don't know that she's as good as somebody. I disagree with you about Jay-Z. That's not my kind of music, but I think certainly his impact is hard to deny. The Bad Bunny thing, I think he's very good. I would say that the one thing about including him on this list is he doesn't have the length of success as a lot of in other words, some people have had success for 20 years or whatever. Dolly Parton, Bob Dylan, Smokey Robinson, Jay-Z even has had a long career at this point. Bad Bunny doesn't have that long tenure. Now, having said that, he represents, what is current and modern and popular. And I think he's very good and is probably possibly the best of that for right now.
How do you feel? How does anybody feel about Eminem?
I like him.
I like him too.
I think he's
Yeah.
good. I think
Yeah.
he's good.
And
I
he
would have
didn't
put
make the
him on there.
list.
I know.
Yeah.
I would have put him on there way ahead of Bad Bunny or I know and I do. And I like some of Jay-Z's, like 99 Problems. Is that him? Yeah.
Again, that's not my kind of music. I think one of the things they were probably looking at is how much those artists are influenced and are, not copied, but like, for example, like Smokey Robinson, Bob Dylan, Dolly Parton,
Bruno Mars would have been a good one.
all of those people, lots of other people record their songs. Lots of other artists choose to record their songs. And to me,
that's important.
That is a indication of a great songwriter when other performers, other artists are saying, hey, that's a really good song. I want to record it, or I want to.
Well, let me ask you about that, because I was wondering about, like, who is that famous guy who wrote all Madonna songs? Like, he's a songwriter, right? And
well, Nile Rodgers wrote a bunch of Madonna songs, and he's on the list.
And he's on the. Oh, he is on the list. I didn't know he was on the list. Okay, I went through everybody and I listened. I didn't.
And also,
but I was gonna say is how do you wait? I mean, Jim, what you were saying, I agree with. I just want to know, like, what's the criteria you're applying to why they're good choices or bad choices? Like that for me, it's just, it seems so murky, and I know it's cultural, so it is going to be murky. But like, what are you using as criteria in your head?
Well, first of all, I'm not the one who made the list, but I think that
when you're saying you agree or disagree with them,
well, what I'm saying is, I think that what they're saying is that they're talking about people who've had a substantial impact in one way or another, and they're also consciously saying, we have Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson's a great songwriter in a certain kind of song. The same you could say for Lucinda Williams to a certain extent. The same you could say for Dolly. A lot of her stuff is country stuff. And they want that music, which is very popular in a whole genre of music, to be represented. You want rap and hip hop to be represented.
Well, historically, the way they would have done that was they would have had different lists. They would have had the best songwriters in this genre. The best, if that was because if they're hiding the ball a little bit as to if that's the criteria.
They could have done that, but I think that there is, I think, some effort. There's some thought that pigeonholing music into those categories is actually not a good thing, and it's reductive, and it discourages people from one of the things that this might do, and hopefully will do, is that some of the stuff of people you're not familiar with, maybe you'll listen to it.
Yeah,
right?
no, for sure, that works.
Sure. I mean,
I listened to all the songs, and I did the 10-second Spotify summaries, and it was great. And I have to admit, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from the article. For me, the article was more kind of a learning moment than it was kind of a validate my beliefs moment. I learned a lot. I thought it was a really good article because I learned a lot, and it made me think that the New York Times intended it to be pedagogical. And in which case, and if that's fine, that's fine. It's I don't know. I'm not sure what the role of a newspaper should be, but it was fine. That's what it was.
I mean, part of the role of a newspaper is to get a conversation going, right?
Yeah.
It seems to me. And let's be honest. Anytime you're doing a top 10 list or a top 100 list, part of what you're doing is you're throwing it out there because there's going to be disagreement. You're generating a conversation. There has never been a top 10 list or a top 100 list about anything that doesn't generate disagreement. And part of what you're trying to do is start a conversation. And, and incidentally, you're trying to sell newspapers or sell subscriptions online.
So I would ask each of us to say go back over the list and look at everybody you listen to and do the I agree or I disagree list, but take off the table anything that you already liked. Like, if you already liked it, take them off the list. They're not included anymore. Now, of the ones you either didn't know or would have said you didn't really like, now rank them.
Interesting.
Oh God,
That's
this
an
sounds like a
interesting
lot of
idea.
work.
Because I mean, that's a way of trying to get your
Well,
personal.
we have to have a follow-up episode because I haven't done that, but that's an interesting idea, John.
So the
So
part
that-
that I couldn't access, sorry, Peg,
No.
is so I could read the overall article and then each segment after the person, but I could not access the section that said how we chose. And I really would have liked, because it kind of gets to your question, John, that you just asked Jim. How are you categorizing? How are you choosing these? To be able to say, okay, this is the mindset that they went in, and it might help me see their perspective a little bit more versus me just saying what I said, like I outright disagree. I read the article, but I read it when you all first sent it out. So
More
maybe
than a
that
month
would have
ago at this point.
yeah, maybe that would have helped me a little bit more because I need to know the variables.
Peg,
So I agree.
Off mic and before we started, you described a little bit about the process. Why don't you repeat it for our vast listening
I
audience?
don't really know the process, but I wanted to say something first about it. So one of the people that they listed was, and her name is escaping me, but we've seen her on award shows. She sometimes plays the piano. She's not the performer. She is the writer, but obviously writers have talent too. Dark hair, short hair.
Diane Warren.
Yeah.
She's on the list.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
she's on the
yep.
list, and hasn't she written a billion songs for
Oh,
bunch?
a billion songs.
Yeah, a bunch
Been
of people.
nominated for Oscars. Yeah.
And very well respected. And also reflects a style of music that isn't heavily otherwise represented on that.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that sometimes that's what I think of when I think of somebody who gets high marks for being a writer, is somebody who writes for other people. If you're Paul Simon and you're a genius, you can sing and play your own tunes and write them. So, but not everybody can do that, like Diane Warren.
Paul Simon's not the greatest where he is because he's the greatest singer, just like Bob Dylan's not where he is because he's the greatest singer.
Right.
A lot of what their success as performers is because their songs are so good.
Yeah, and Dolly's not the greatest singer, and Lucinda has got
Dolly's
that
a
weird
better singer
gravelly
than Paul
voice.
Simon or Bob Dylan, but that's my opinion.
I think all four of those people are great singers in their own right and based on their timing.
Yeah.
Like when Bob Dylan came out, and
his voice isn't great, but his
and Lucinda was so
phraseology.
different. When Bob Dylan sings "Lay Lady Lay," you don't even know that's Bob Dylan. His voice is a different level. It's low. And then but his regular voice is a higher, scratchy. But Lucinda Williams, I think, was so
She's
outside still, and when she started, was so outside the norm that I think the timing helped her success as well.
Well, if this list had been done, I don't know exactly how many years ago, but for example, when he was still living, if
John
they
Prine.
didn't put Stephen Sondheim.
Oh, John Prine.
John Prine would be on that list.
John
If you didn't
Prine.
that's another one. But I would say if you didn't put Stephen Sondheim on this list of greatest American songwriters while he was living, then you'd have a real problem with a lot of people, and you should. And he writes a different kind of music. It's not rock music. It's not popular music in that sense. It's show music, but he's a brilliant songwriter, and I don't think anybody would.
And when you talk about people being influenced, like you don't, is it quality? Is it influential? Is it quality writing and quality music if it influences people? Not necessarily. Like, I don't know, a lot of Madonna songs are garbage, but they were super hits and we all love them and they were influential, but are they good tunes?
I think
pretty basic.
I think there's some very good songs, and I think Nile
Some of
Rodgers,
them.
who also worked with some other people besides Madonna, is probably a good choice for that list.
I think they left off, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but we could jump to, who do you think they left off? I think they left off Jackson Brown. I think he's an excellent songwriter.
Is he alive?
Yeah, and he writes, I
As far
think,
as I know.
his own stuff. I mean, I think he's a wife beater, and that's not great. but we'll leave that out of
Does
it.
Bruce Springsteen write his own stuff?
And he's on the list.
Yeah, and he's
Oh,
on
he
there,
is.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Bruce Springsteen does do some covers once in a while. Apparently, the concert he did in D.C. on Wednesday night last week,
A colleague of mine went to it and had
and
nothing,
my ex-wife
couldn't
went
stop
to
talking
it.
about it.
And he opened the concert with a cover of the old Edwin Starr Motown song, War. What is it good for? I wonder if he had any political intent.
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine.
Can't.
But yes,
It was raining the whole time, I heard.
It was that's
pouring
what I,
rain.
Yeah. Well, not
He played
pouring,
all
but
through it.
a steady rain. I
A
think.
steady downpour.
Steady rain, but not super heavy. It wasn't like a deluge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he writes, almost all the songs.
Where are we coming down on the? It's more about the lyrics, or it's more about the music. Where are we on that?
I think it's hard to say. I mean, there are some songs I personally like because of the lyrics, and there are some songs I personally like because of the music.
I mean, I have to be.
Ideally, you like both, but
I am going to say something embarrassing, which is, I mean, I have never cared that much for lyrics. I do like Taylor Swift for lyrics. I mean, I find it. I don't know. There's something poetic.
I think she's very clever. I think she's very clever in her lyrics.
Yeah.
And I think I happen to like the kind of music, that sort of guitar-driven music. That happens to be a favorite of mine. But I agree with you. I think she's a great lyricist. But again, there are some songs I think of, like Dylan. I think a lot of stuff is about his lyrics. Smokey Robinson is also an underrated lyricist, but also has written some really, brilliant tunes.
And I don't know how, if you and doing my thought exercise, taking it even a step further and saying, if you could extricate from the songs that these songwriters did, if you could actually, it's the production values and the mixing and the production that goes to, post production, which I personally also love, and I've said many times before on this podcast. Like, if you could take that out, how would that affect? Because it's totally possible. I think Madonna's completely crap except for the production values. I mean, it's totally possible. I don't know. I just like it. I know what. I don't know how you realistically separate.
Well, it's interesting when we were talking earlier about, who they write songs. Dolly's written songs for other people, famously, I'll Always Love You, or whatever the exact title is for Whitney Houston. Beyonce covered Jolene, so did Miley Cyrus. So you have different artists, different genres covering Dolly, who's predominantly country. Ryan Adams recorded Taylor Swift's entire 1989 album himself. All the songs, it's done differently. I actually listened to that first before I ever heard Taylor's version of 1989. And it's, to your point, John, just the production of it and how he approached it. It's fascinating, and I like both versions. A lot of you guys must know when Rick Rubin did the Johnny Cash series, where he also did it with Neil Diamond, where they recorded some of their own songs, but other songs. Like, so Johnny Cash did Hurt, which is, it guts you. It's right as he's very sick. It's stripped down. It's a song everyone knew, but a different version of it. And completely across genre. So I think that's like, I couldn't say whether it's the lyrics or the tune specifically, but I think of those examples where they both hold up.
I think that's a good point, Beth. I think, for example, I can think of some records or recordings that I think are good, but I would say that the underlying song isn't particularly special, but it's a really good record. It's a really good recording. It's a great performance. But when you take a song and various artists are able to find approaches to it, that work. I mean,
hallelujah.
I'll think of a song. Mm-hmm. I'll mention a writer that, if he were alive, I think should definitely be on those. It's not alive. Is Robbie Robertson, who wrote the stuff for The Band. And he wrote The Weight. And how many different people have done The Weight, and how many different versions of it, and different, you can listen to Aretha do it, and it's great, and you can listen to the band do it, and it's great, and you listen to a lot of people do it. The number of people who covered that song is almost too many to list, and the fact that they can all find something in that song means to me that the underlying material must have some quality that just transcends the original performance. I think you can say that about a lot of Dylan songs too. So many people cover Dylan songs because they recognize the quality there and they want to, have a chance to do something with it. Springsteen's covered a lot for the same reason. Lennon and McCartney, if they were alive, well, McCartney's alive. He's not. I mean, I was thinking, what if they had done it let's be honest. There's a lot of people writing songs all over the world that we don't know anything about because a lot of them are not writing in English. And it doesn't mean they're not writing great songs. It just means, I don't listen to a lot of music that's not in English. I've listened to some Bad Bunny, but that's about it. But, that doesn't mean they're not great songwriters and they should be excluded. But if you did a list of English writers who write predominantly in English who are alive, then you're talking about McCartney and Elton John and Bono and Joni Mitchell, and there's a lot of people you can include in that list. But that's a reality. I'm sure that most of the people in the except for maybe opera aren't familiar with music that's not in English, and that's a limitation. But it's a reality too.
Jim, were you listening to Bad Bunny before the Super Bowl?
I listened to Bad Bunny when I first saw him on Saturday Night Live. That's how I find out about new music, is if you show up on Saturday Night Live, unless, one of the kids or somebody has told me about something. But I listen to him and I say, that sounds pretty interesting, and maybe I'll check it out on YouTube. That was the other thing I was going to say. I think that you can find virtually all the music you want to listen to on YouTube for free. You have to put up with commercials, but,
So to Shelley's question about Bad Bunny, for me, I would reserve my judgment on him. I found him to be a entertainer on Saturday Night Live and the Super Bowl, but I have paid zero attention to what he's saying, those words. I would need to go, it's so fast, it's in a foreign language, or, I would need to, just like John's saying about Taylor Swift, I don't love her, but when people point out things to me about her songs and then I look up her lyrics, I'm like, oh yeah, those lyrics are cool. Okay. But when I hear it, I don't always hear what they're saying. I have to go and read it to actually know what's being said, or you have to listen to it a million times before you register. Not a million, obviously, but So for me, I have to pay attention to what is being said, and I don't always catch it when I just listen to it on a radio, on a halftime show.
Here's an idea to throw out with regard to the Bad Bunny thing. A lot of the sports leagues, when they're talking about their Hall of Fame, they have a rule that you have to have been out, or like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you have to have produced a record 25 years ago. You have to wait a certain amount of time, no matter how great you are, to be admitted to So what if they had said you have to have been out there for at least 10 years to be eligible for the list? It's, one of the things about Bad Bunny is he a skyrocket that is going to last for a year or two and then fall away? I have no reason to think he will, but that has happened, right? We know people that you hear and you think, oh, they're great, and then they sort of fade out really quickly.
That's what made me think when I saw him on the list. That's what made me think of that right now, because of the recency factor.
Recency bias,
that is still happening. And so that's what made me that. But the majority of people on that list were not a product of the recency bias.
Absolutely.
For sure.
But they could have said, look, in order to make this list, you have to have X number of years of whatever performance or output or whatever the right word is.
And he was also an exception to the other artists imitating him. His longevity hasn't been there for us to see that pattern that might occur down the road.
That's all fair. Yeah, that's all fair.
To Peg's point about I don't always know the lyrics either. I seldom know the song title. And the early REM, as you all know, is one of my all-time favorite bands. And
I
some
just
of the
said
early,
REM to curry favor with Beth, by the
yes,
way. But,
all the some of their early albums, I still have no idea what the lyrics are. But as soon as I hear that opening note, I am mumbling along with Michael Stipe. I am right there dancing in the kitchen. So it gets back to the lyrics versus the music and the whole thing.
I guarantee you, if you get 10 REM fans and ask them the lyrics to Radio Free Europe, you're going to get 10 different versions of what the lyrics are, because you can't figure it out. I think somewhere they publish the official lyrics.
Yeah.
But,
I sent my fellow podcasters a YouTube video, and it's about 16 minutes long, and I know that 3 of them didn't watch it. I don't know if John didn't watch it or not.
I watched
it. You did?
Mm.
Okay, so that guy, he had quite a rant, and he was like really focused on popularity, and if you were popular, you should have been on this list, and I was kind of disagreeing with that. And then he started listing people that he thought were quality writers, and again, he admitted that he didn't know who some of the people were, and I think he's a music critic. Did you look him up, John? I did not.
I did look him up.
I don't know what his deal is, but he talked about bands.
I think he works at Target. I think I saw him on Sunday when I was at Target.
He talked about bands and groups and how that wasn't really represented on this list. For example, like Heart, he thought those 2 women are excellent songwriters. He did talk about Fleetwood Mac, and some of them are British and some of them are American, but some of the North American, or the United States members wrote stuff. So why aren't they listed? And they were super influential, and their Rumors album is still influential today. So he talked about Fiona Apple, and I was like, Fiona Apple? I used to love that one album of hers, but then I never really knew if she ever did anything again. And I wondered, is she somebody who's written for other people? Or did I just lose track of her because I don't care about
I
her?
would basically put her in the same category with Missy Elliott, who's somebody who's done some good work. I don't know that I would say that she's one of the 30 best living songwriters.
So it's just so hard. How do you put it down to 30?
And not as a put down to her or to Missy Elliott. I do think that would be something. I don't know.
What do you think of him, John? Was he just having a rant?
No, mostly it was a rant. But I did think he was a rant, and it just reinforced for me. I mean, he was just listing everybody he liked. I mean, so I was like, okay. I mean, listen, that's the fun of this, right? The fun of this is talking about people you like and why you like them. And I agree with Jim. Maybe it opens the door to thinking about some other, but for the list part of it, like the analytical part of me says, for the list part of it, I want to get into what are the criteria and how are we applying them and thinking about it. I mean, this is, I'm not going to say this is like a project that is entirely, rooted in power, but that's usually my go-to position, right? Is like there's power underlying this, and there's power in getting on the list, and there's money and power. I mean, it's a form of power, but money's a form of power, and I'd say it's a form of power to get on a list like this. You probably sell more albums or get more lists played on Spotify. I do think, given that we have things like Spotify, Apple Music, it is crazy to me that wouldn't be one of the criteria, like just listens. I mean, I mean that, I guess that goes to popularity, but it's like there's some really great solid data you could look at for, that transcends national boundaries, right? And transcends language. I mean, these are, in terms of the history of the world, we have access to like information about how popular songs are in an incredibly granular way that's like never been able to be done before. And I think that's interesting. And I do find that interesting. That guy talked about that a little bit, and I liked that. So there were moments he said, and obviously as soon as he mentioned Fleetwood Mac, I was like, oh yeah, what the hell? The whole list is stupid because that was one of my prejudices.
That's what I felt.
I mean, you could make an argument for either Lindsey Buckingham or Stevie Nicks, who are the American members of Fleetwood Mac, and they both written songs. I don't think that they're a but they haven't written all. It's not like Fleetwood Mac wrote all those songs together. They all wrote separately, and Christine McVie wrote a bunch of the songs that I like the best. But I mean, I don't think that either Stevie Nicks or Lindsey Buckingham's like a slam dunk choice to be the
No,
top
and I almost
three.
and if you pushed me, I'd probably say that Rumors, I do like the production values of it.
Yeah.
Like the way they, I mean, I do,
Yeah.
like I can begin to separate that from the lyrics
Yeah.
and from the, the tune, if you want to call it that. I can hear the production values and appreciate it, but I don't know.
And I mean, to your point, John, we have a lot of data immediately available about what recordings are popular, but the underlying song is a separate, that's a separate question. What Peggy, for some reason, doesn't want to share with the audience, which she told us, was that the process was that they first asked for input from 250 people in the music industry to put in nominations or suggestions. And then this panel of 6 critics from the New York Times, John Caramanica, Joe Coscarelli, I'm probably doing this, Wesley Morris, Jody Rosen, Daniel Smith, and Lindsay Zolaz, not sure I got all the pronunciations right, who then made the final selections. And you can imagine that among the 6, I'm sure there were disagreements. And so the list on some senses probably reflects some sort of consensus and compromise among the 6. No, seriously. I'm sure there were some that all 6 said, yeah, got to be on the list. And then there are people that argued hard for, I'd be surprised if nobody in there argued for Billy Joel or Randy Newman or Lindsey Buckingham or the guys from REM or blah, blah, blah.
The guy on the rant talks about Randy Newman.
Yeah, no, I like Randy Newman. Like I said, I like him a lot. I think, talk about lyrics, I think he's very clever. There's another guy you could argue is John Fogerty, who wrote almost all the music for Creedence and then for himself. And he's a living American songwriter, and he's got some good stuff.
You need to watch this guy's video.
I have not watched this video.
No, but you should, because he's
I'm only interested in my own rants, not everybody else's. No, I mean, there's enough ranting. Look, it's a list. It provokes discussion. It's not 30 people. It's not who got as elected to Congress or who's the president. It's a list of things, and it reflects the consensus of 6 critics from the New York Times.
It's not the West Wing.
Okay, so I listened to the podcast, and
God, Beth actually listened to an episode of the podcast. This is the headline news for tonight.
She listened.
I only listen to the episodes I'm not on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to hear me. So
Again.
I listened to the episode because I just need to make sure I was queued up for today. And as soon as John said West Wing, I burst out laughing because I'm like, here comes Jim Sorkin rant.
I know.
He is going to go
I thought it was very restrained on Saturday.
You were restrained,
when we discussed
Jim. You were very restrained.
Was I really ranty on the podcast?
Well, no, I just knew it was.
You have a very defined position on Aaron Sorkin.
You should hear what I said off mic on the Aaron Sorkin, but that's
and all right, news for my fellow podcasters. Jim, I'm always one guilty and then remember that some of your moms listen to this. Jim dropped the F-bomb on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's not the first time the F-bomb has been dropped on our podcast. But
Was
no,
it
I'm
to
usually the one. I am usually the one. And then I cringe because I think poor John's mom is listening.
John's kids are going to listen to this.
I think that John's mom and Peg's mom and Shelly's mom can all handle it.
My children need to hear it.
My mom's an F-bomb user.
I think we need to have Jan on the podcast at some point, by the way, but I'm just saying.
We'll see.
All right, are we wrapping up? I think we've saturated this topic.
Yeah, there's not much more to say.
There's not much more to say. I think it was
great.
great.
I'll vamp for 15 minutes about Aaron Sorkin.
No. We don't need to fill it.
The take home is that Paul Simon should be at the top of the list, number 1.
There were no particular
that is the takeaway. The takeaway is Peggy
rankings.
cared about this topic exclusively because Paul Simon was on the list. And
Imagine,
I knew it the moment I saw it. I was like,
If Paul Simon hadn't made the list, imagine
Peggy's
The outrage.
performance.
It would have
to
been
me.
a
outrage.
So
totally
that would have
different
been
podcast.
something, right?
I don't think we would have talked about it.
Oh my God, you would have talked about it. You would have been apoplectic. It would have been
I
great.
would've-
We would
It
have
would have
heard
made
the
for a great
F-bomb.
podcast. But
Thank
F-bomb
God
from
he's still
Peggy.
alive.
yes, that would be even worse if he had
Yeah.
died, and that's why he wasn't on the list, because that would mean he would be dead. So that's not a good thing.
All right, so someone else take us
Beth
home.
is taking us
Ooh,
home.
John
tonight.
Mellencamp. Woo, woo.
Yes. God, how
In
did
fact, I just looked up the lyrics to Jack and Diane recently because I was like, what's he talking about the those
debutante
pants?
Yeah.
No, the pants that you
Wiggle
take
off those Bobby Brooks and let me do it as I
and I was
please.
like,
Yeah.
what the heck?
Do it up, please.
And Bobby Brooks are like a brand of clothes or something.
It is, yeah. Bobby
Yeah.
Brooks was big branded clothes.
Yeah.
Hilarious. And that's a brilliant line.
It is a brilliant
I
line.
knew exactly
Okay.
the line you're looking
Anyway.
I
for.
knew exactly what it meant when
Yeah.
it came out. Yeah.
Oh, I did not.
And you were only what, 17
7.
or something?
Yeah, it's
High
probably high
school?
school. Yeah,
16.
he's probably still John
1982, right?
Cougar.
Yeah.
Still John Cougar.
American Fool, 1982.
That was
right?
one of my favorite songs, Jack and
Yeah.
Diane.
Yeah.
Summer of 1982. Good
I can't
summer.
find Patrick Leonard anywhere on this list.
I didn't see him.
He's the Madonna guy.
Yeah.
No,
I just like, yeah.
he's a Madonna guy. Nile Rodgers wrote a bunch of her stuff.
Oh.
and
Oh, Nile Rodgers.
other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I usually hate songs that are so repetitive and have the refrain
like
that
the
comes
hook?
on over and over. No, like I don't love the hook. I'm like, it doesn't take any talent to do the hook.
Oh.
But I love
I think it all takes talent, Peg.
but I
If
love
he doesn't
Ray
take
of
talent,
Light.
let's do it. If we don't need talent, we could all do it. And we all
Ray.
can all do
That's
it.
Orbison, or not Ray Orbison.
But I
that's,
love
the guy
Madonna's Ray of Light, and it is just the same thing over and over and over again, and I love it. So it's like there's no
Okay.
rhyme or reason.
How about
I
before
just
Beth signs
dance
us
around
out?
my kitchen doing
How
my
about
dishes.
Before Beth signs us out, what's
William
our
Orbit.
each
William
favorite
Orbit
Madonna
produced that.
song? Beth, what's your favorite Madonna song?
I'm not a big Madonna fan.
So you don't like any of her songs?
I mean,
I love.
I would
Pick
never.
one.
I don't have one, Jim.
Okay.
Like a prayer,
No.
like a prayer.
Sure, like a prayer.
They're all a
There you go.
jam.
Shelley,
Papa Don't Preach.
John.
American Life.
I'm going to pick Get Into the Groove.
There's so many good
That's
ones.
a good one. That's a good one,
I
Jim.
like that one. All right, Beth, take us home.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to us tonight. Semi-prepared for our topic. We plan to record more frequently. You might not get all 5 of us on
We do.
each time,
you
but
will.
that's our goal.
Yes.
And you can find us in all the streaming platforms, and you can join us on the Patron website and actually pay a little
Patreon.
money.
You can have a
Patreon.
shot of Patron.
Tequila is.
You could do a shot of Patron while you find us on the Patreon website.
in my neighborhood is
Our sponsor.
Patron.
Yeah, there you go.
Beth clearly had some Patron before this podcast.
we have to take
This is why we don't have Beth in the club.
to kick that, and that should be like the
Absolute
closing.
Cupid.
We should use that as a runner for the closing
As
of
long as
every
we don't
episode.
get sued by Patron.
Listen to us on Patron.
Oh, we're not going to get sued. Free advertising.
For Patron.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might
Go
not.
Well,
ahead.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
think I screwed
Goodbye.
up enough.
We're saying
Tell us
goodbye.
Tell us
Everybody
your favorite
wave.
songwriter. Tell us your favorite songwriter on our
Tell
website.
us your favorite songwriter. Yeah. Bye.
Yes.
Bye.